Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. Our time was a little different today due to the fact that our Board of Finance held their public hearing concerning the budget today. So I'd like to thank Chairman Walter O'Connor and all the members of the Board of Finance for doing the virtual public hearing so that we could get input on the municipal budget. And I'll be talking a little bit about that later. First, I'd like to thank our first responders, our medical staff, our essential workers, all for our town employees, our giving community, all for your help during this COVID-19 pandemic. I can't thank you enough for your continued efforts as we all battle this pandemic. So I'd like to thank everyone for that. And speaking with our public health director, Mike Crespin, this morning, I'd like to give you an update on the numbers. So in the state of Connecticut, we have, these are confirmed COVID-19 cases. We have 16,809. In Litchfield County, we have 569. And in New Milford, we are now at 120. And unfortunately, we have 3 deaths in New Milford. So for those families that have a family member that has passed, we offer our condolences and our prayers to those that have passed. We're in the height, according to our medical experts, we're in the height of the infection phase, which will be in the next couple of weeks. So it is very, very important that we do practice all of the things that are the protocols for COVID-19, whether that's stay home with Governor Lamont's protocol, to social distancing, making sure that you're at a minimum of 6 feet away. Also, Governor Lamont has issued that everyone, when you go outside, is to wear a mask, and that is to protect your neighbor. As we all know, this is a very, very communicable disease, and even the smallest decibel of fluid that comes out, or even breath, can cause someone to get COVID-19, according to the medical experts. So it's very important. Also, gatherings. It's still continued. 5 people or less in gathering. That's 5 or less. Very important. Also, to make sure if you don't need to be out, to stay home. And then if you could get a little bit of exercise, preferably in your neighborhood, take a walk down your street. Again, make sure your gathering is 5 or less. It's very, very important between now and these next couple of weeks, as we are still peaking here in New Milford. It's important that we practice these to bend the curve. That's so important. And that's to make sure that our medical staff, our heroes, are not overwhelmed. So it's very, very important that we do that. Also, some of the things that we've been doing here in New Milford as well. I gave 2 emergency orders so far. The first one, as we spoke about before, was the suspension of temporary lodgings. So that's homes or condominiums, or where you're doing a temporary lodging. We are suspending those currently. We also have some of our staff checking those sites to make sure those that are trying to do temporary, we're reminding them. We're also having the New Milford Police check on them as well. If they continue, once warned, they will be summoned for that. And this is all to make sure that we have proper social distancing to bend the curve. Also, I put another executive order in, and that executive order was to limit our town parks to New Milford residents only. And the reason for that was, when we did go out and look at our parks, some of our parks were overwhelmed. There was no social distancing. So we wanted to make sure that our New Milford residents have an opportunity to get out and exercise with proper social distancing. So we wanted to limit the population to do that. So we wanted to make sure our New Milford residents had the first opportunity to do so. If in fact you are going to one of our parks and you do see during a beautiful day that the parking lots are full, please turn around, go to your neighborhood, exercise within your neighborhood. We do not want to overwhelm our parks, which then would put social distancing in jeopardy, especially now in the next couple of weeks as we're going through this this heightened part of infections. So that's very, very important. Next is our town government itself. So our town government continues to operate. I cannot thank our essential employees enough for being out, making sure our town government runs so that you, the public, can be served. And again, big kudos to our town staff for that. We do have limited hours to some of our departments that are still facing the public, and theirs are limited and by appointment only. All the town buildings are locked, so you need to make an appointment to get into one of those if you need to conduct some business. Also, we have some of our departments actually going out to visit. You got your senior center staff that goes out to visit. We have our medical staff that goes out to visit. And you have the VNA, health department. So it's very important that we make sure that when they're out, that they have the right protection and equipment, and we're working on that, and I'll get to that in a moment as well. Also, I've been able to redeploy some of our employees, which I can't thank enough for helping us in the task that I put forward to our economic development team to make sure that we reach every single New Milford business. We'll hopefully have done this by the end of this coming week, so that all of our businesses knows there's opportunities for grants, opportunities for employees to continue to get paid, whether it be through unemployment or through different programs the employer has. I do know that some of the programs have run out of money, but they are supposedly Congress is working on reallocating some more money so some of these programs can get funded. So it's very important that you make sure, even though there aren't funds there, that you're in line. So when they do put it in, that you're able to access those funds. It's very important. Also, if you can, I've said this before, it's very, very important if you could check on your neighbor. If you could call, if you could email them, especially if they're seniors, just make sure they're okay, kind of do a welfare check, or family members. If you could do, so we've talked about these last meetings, if you could do 10 a week, that would be wonderful. If we could all do that, we could all make sure that our New Milford community has a lot of communication, and if needed assistance, we're here to provide that for you or for your neighbor. It's super important. Going back now to the economic development, if you're a small business owner or you're a self-employed employee or just a regular employee that unfortunately has had to be furloughed or laid off, there are programs available, as I said, and you can contact our economic development director. That's Karen Pollard. Her number is 860-488-0492. Again, 860-488-0492. Or you can email her at kpollard, P-O-L-L-A-R-D, at newmilford.org. You can also either contact me via Facebook Messenger, or you can email me at pbass@newmilford.org. You can also call me on my cell phone at 203-788-2619. It's very important that we keep communicating and answer any questions that you in the business community may have as we continue to move forward with this pandemic. As I've said before, there's in New Milford, we continue to follow these protocols, especially as we are in this heightened phase. And I'm asking, again, all of our residents to please follow the rules, follow the protocols. That way we can bend this curve. And hopefully we can begin to lax in things as we start bottoming out at a future date. So it's very, very important. As far as the state, Governor Lamont did issue the executive order where you are required to wear a mask when you go outside. It's very important to do so. If you don't have a mask, you can get those made. We're going to be putting out on our site kind of how to make a mask. We've had some wonderful community members that have been making masks as well, and I can't thank them enough to help our town employees and to help the public at large. That's a wonderful thing, and I can't thank them enough for that. Also, our ambulance, first responders, firemen, policemen, as far as PPE, and that's the personal equipment that they have, whether it be gowns or masks or gloves, personal protection equipment. We've been working all the time to try and get more equipment to our personnel, and we've been fortunate in some respects to get some. And Kevin Reynolds is on our EOC team. It's Emergency Operations Command. He's in charge of kind of getting this equipment for the town. Can't thank him and all his efforts in trying to secure more of this PPE for us. Also, nonprofits that have been essential in getting additional PPE for our town. I can't thank them enough for doing that. Also, those members within our town that are helping those less fortunate, whether it be our social services team that's providing food for those in need, our senior center doing the same, also our culinary school providing meals, cooking meals for our seniors. And then you have the nonprofits such as the United Way, Carmela's Cupboard, also in efforts to help those in need. And that also includes those that have now been unemployed and looking for assistance. You can reach out to our social services department, Ivana Butera. If you're a senior, you can reach out to our senior center, and that's Carolyn Haglin and her team. And it's all about us as a community working together for the betterment of our town. So I'd like to do is for just a moment, kind of see before we go to some questions, and then we'll move into some other topics as well. Grant Dupreel is here with me today. Grant, thanks for being here. And I'd also like to congratulate Grant on the birth of his new baby girl. So Grant, congrats, man. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being here. So if there's, I'd like to see if there's any questions that we have so far. And Grant, if you could bring them over to this side so I could kind of take a look. And thank you, Judy. I appreciate that. And thank you for the service of all of our, as I said, all of our first responders, our medical staff, our essential employees, not only for the town, but those that are working in our grocery stores, those that are working in our gas stations. They're on the front lines too, and we can't thank them enough for their sacrifice and what they're doing as well. So thank you, Judy. From Amy, thank you. Any word on the tax appeal hearings? Yes, so the tax assessor is working. One of the things that we have been able to do is our virtual town meetings that are taking place. The Board of Finance, as I said, had one today. Town Council had one last Monday. As some of the boards and commissions are getting up to speed, they are then putting in meeting dates and times. So they're currently working on that. I should have more of an update for you in this next coming week when it comes to that particular board. Let's see, Maryland, all our parks should be for local people all the time. So Maryland, as we talked about before in the executive order, right now our town parks are limited to our New Milford residents, and that's all in keeping with proper social distance and social protocols, which is a minimum of 6 feet or greater. And that gives our New Milford residents more of an opportunity to get some exercise as long as we can continue to keep with the social distancing. So thank you. Ed, one simple question I've asked several times but haven't seen an answer. What is being done legally to block the governor's order? So Ed, you cannot block the governor's order during an emergency order. You could check on my Facebook page where you'll see I had an interview with our town attorney, Randy DeBella. And unfortunately, the governor's orders during emergency orders, those are the orders that we have to do. I was very much and still am a huge proponent that the town people should be able to vote on the municipal budget. That's their right. We've done that here for many, many, many generations. We've done that during world wars. We've done that during weather events. And I believe myself, as you do, it's very important that we have that opportunity. Unfortunately, during his order, we have no ability to do that. Not even a mail-in, which is what I was working on with our voter registrars and our town attorney when his order came down, not allowing us to do this. So there is no way right now to block his emergency order. But thank you for the question, Ed. Pat, if the governor will address your letter, is there any way you could allow distance voting? If we could use the current, if not, can we use the current budget and then vote then and send out a supplemental bill? So, Pat, thank you for your question. And as we're starting to get more of these questions, I'd like to kind of push back a little bit on the budget for just a moment. For those that are here also talking about COVID-19, part of the Governor Lamont's executive order was a 7I, was basically to say to our form of government, where we actually vote on our municipal budget, that the public, due to COVID-19, is not allowed to vote. One of the things when the executive order came out was I immediately talked to our voter registrars and our town attorney to do a mail-in vote. And we had we were bringing in the proper protocols and procedures to do such. Under his order, when we received that, there is not the ability to do any of that. Also within the order, you cannot do a postponement of a budget and then do a budget and send out a supplemental tax bill. That's not allowed. What would happen is if you do overspend after your budget is done, is then you would send out a supplemental tax bill to the taxpayer. I know it's very confusing. You can go to my Facebook page, see the interview that I did with Randy DeBella that talks about, unfortunately, our ability to do this referendum. And as I said before, I'm a super strong supporter that the people should be allowed to vote. I sent a letter, which I did post on that Facebook post. I posted the letter too that I did send to Governor Lamont. I will be trying to call his office again on Monday to see if there's any way that we could get a waiver or any way that we could do this type of vote. But as of right now, and the opinion not only of our town attorney, but of the CAMA, which is the Connecticut Association of Municipal Attorneys, they all agree that this, unfortunately, is where we're at. So if you could call Governor Lamont's office, express your displeasure, that would be wonderful as well. Also from Eileen, will Lynn Deming Park open for boaters? If the park stays closed, perhaps only town residents who have a boat slip can enter. We go on our boat without immediate family. So I've got a lot of questions. Same thing, Eileen, on this topic for Lynn Deming. So we closed the park fully when we were doing our patrols for social distancing, and we had seen where Lynn Deming, lots of our youth were congregating there, people using the playground, skateboarding, doing other activities in the park as well. We had to close that park for social distancing, especially now as we are in the higher phase, as you can see with the numbers ramping up. Also, unfortunately, the 3 deaths that we have here. And we want to make sure that we try and bend the curve, especially these next few weeks. Normally, Memorial Day is the time that Lynn Deming is opened officially. So we're going to continue to monitor the situation and then make adjustments as deemed necessary as we move closer towards Memorial Day. But that has to be in mind, that we got to make sure that our numbers are on the decline and not on the incline as they are currently right now. So right now we assess these with our health department director, Mike Crespin, also our emergency operations command, which is Jim Furlow, Kevin Reynolds, myself, and Mr. Crespin. And we do monitor these numbers and reassess. And Mike gets these numbers twice a day. So we continue to work on those. Also from Loretta. Oh, thank you, Loretta. Well, we're definitely trying to keep you as informed as much as possible with all of our technology. So we are doing this here on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm also putting out information that I get in a more timely fashion on Facebook itself. Also, we're doing reverse 911 calls, press releases, any way that we can to get the message out to you, our community members, especially during this stressful time in this pandemic. So we'll continue to do those. If we do need to do more of these live ones, We're doing these right now once a week. We'll do so. So thank you, Loretta. Let's see. We have another one from Sandy Joe. Let's see. So the 120 cases for New Milford include active and recovered cases. It is all not new cases. Is there somewhere where this breaks these numbers out? So Sandy Joe, yes. So I've asked our health department director to see if there's a way that we can begin tracking those that have recovered and where those are out. So we're working on that right now, and I hope to be able to provide that information to you. We did hire an additional 3 nurses within our health department staff to track these cases. So I'm hoping to be able to provide that information hopefully next week or at a little bit later date on that. So you are correct. Within this number, there are some that have recovered, or some that are staying home rather than being hospitalized. And hopefully I'll be able to break those numbers out for you. But one of the things that we are seeing is a definite trend. As you can see, the actual numbers day over day, they are increasing, especially these last few days. So as our medical experts have said, we can expect this for these next couple of weeks, as they feel that this is the kind of we're cresting to the peak. So again, I just can't emphasize enough. I know it's been difficult for especially residents staying home as long as they can and cooped up. It's just very important that we do follow these protocols, especially in these next few weeks, to get this bend this curve. Also, let's see. If from Carl, if we can't vote, can you please keep the budget the same as last year due to so many people are not working? So great question. So the process was kind of caught in the stream of how our budget process works. So how it begins to work, just so everybody can kind of understand the budgetary process here in New Milford, is first the department heads. There's 2 sides to the budget. There's the municipal side, and then you have the Board of Education side. So we'll take the Board of Education side first. So they do their own due diligence. Then that goes through the Board of Education, and then the Board of Education then presents their budget after review to the mayor. Then the mayor makes the recommendation to the town council. In that same tract, here on the town side, I talk to all of our department heads. We review each individual budget. We then come up with, on the expense side, their budgets after we talk about them, and then we also look at the revenues. So that's monies that come in from the state in grants. That's also revenues that some departments get, whether it be the town clerk, the building committee, park and rec, senior center, to just name a few, where these funds come in. So we try and make sure that we budget for revenues. Once that's done, that's the mayor's budget. I then present that to our town council. Our town council then, during deliberations, which is a joint meeting with the town council and the Board of Finance, we then go through and talk to department heads. We also talk to the Board of Education and the superintendent. Then after that joint meetings, they break, that's adjourned, and then the town council does its own deliberations. The town council then makes whatever adjustments they feel necessary, and then they move that to the Board of Finance. That's where we are right now. So the Board of Finance now starts with a public hearing where they can hear the input from the public, and that's what they did today, this morning, starting at 10. And again, I can't thank Chairman O'Connor enough, and his board and the Board of Finance members for doing that public hearing virtually today. And they will then on Wednesday have their deliberations where they have the opportunity to make amendments or changes to the budget, how they feel. And then normally what would happen is this would go out to the voters for a budget, for them to vote on it. And it would either pass or fail. And with our charter change, each one, both the education side and the town side, are on their own. So they pass, fail. So it's a bifurcated budget. This year, because of Governor Lamont's order, executive order, now what happens is after the Board of Finance makes their adjustment, it then goes to the town council. The town council then reviews whatever recommendations that the Board of Finance makes. Because at our charter, they can only make category changes, not line item changes. If they do adjust on both sides of the budget, if they adjust the education side, if there was a reduction, then the Board of Education would make the line item reductions. If they reduce the town side, then the town side, the town council, then would make their adjustments line item to match the decrease, if any, to the budget. If there is a change that the town council feels needed to be done, by 2/3 vote, they could change the category itself. So, and then according to Governor Lamont's order, then whatever that would be, that would be your budget. One thing that I'd like to address the public as well that has spoken is once the Board of Finance completes their review and their deliberations on Wednesday, it does go back to the council. I'm going to inform the council that we will be looking at this in June. That gives the council plenty of time to get public input and also to see if there would be any changes that could be made as we continue to ask the governor for an opportunity for our public to weigh in on the budget. Coming back to some of the questions. Let's see, from Susie, who are those getting sick in our town? How are they getting sick? Are they essential workers? Need to know as our numbers are rising. So Susie, some of the people, they're everyday people. About 10% of those are within the same household that had a COVID-19 case already in there. And unfortunately, some of the new COVID-19 people that have infections are actually in our nursing homes as well. So it's very important. Again, as I say, as we keep our protocols, we do our hand hygiene, which is one of the most important things. That's like 20 seconds under the spigot with as hot as water as you can tolerate, with going up to your wrists, under your nails if you can. If you don't have that, hand sanitizer is the next best thing. And again, 6 feet social distance. So it's not just segmented to one area or one person or one social economic stratosphere. This COVID-19 has hit everything and everybody, every kind of sect of person, age, or whatnot. So it's important that we all protect ourselves. Next from Ed, let's see. Again, Ed had asked the same question. So again, Ed, I'll answer again, there is no way to legally block an emergency order done by the governor of the state of Connecticut. You cannot do that. Again, go on my Facebook page. You can see the interview I did with our town attorney, Randy DeBella. And you could see that not only Attorney DeBella, but also the CAMA, the Association of Municipal Attorneys, all agree with that same process. We cannot have a mail-in vote, which I was trying to get done. We can't have any kind of budgetary vote, which is very unfortunate. So again, I am a firm believer that the rights of our citizens should be allowed to vote in the municipal budget as they always have. All from Keisha, are the masks going to be mandatory and when will that start? So great question. And actually I believe that starts on Monday, where it's being required to have a mask when you go outside. And we're going to be posting on our Facebook page. There's ways that you can make them. We're going to push those out. There's also community members here in New Milford that have done a wonderful job of making masks for first responders, for the community as well. And we're going to see if we can get some more of those made that we can donate to the public as well for those that don't have those. So Monday is when I've been told that's when it's going to be required to have a mask. And the reason for the decision to do that isn't so much as you protect yourself, is that you, if you're asymptomatic, because this is such an easily communicable disease or virus, that you may not even know you have it, and just your breath or even a little droplet can cause someone to get infected. So it's by you wearing your mask, you're protecting your neighbor or someone that just you're bypassing, you're helping protect them. So that's the reason for the mask. Let's see. From Jean Marie. How are the parks being patrolled if here are out-of-state cars and lot in ex Harrybrook? Also, we're a lot. So, Jeannie Marie, we have our New Milford Police Department. They are actually patrolling the areas, our parks. I've asked Chief Ceruto to make sure that we do those patrols. They go out on their first run and announce on a loudspeaker that these are town residents can come into the parks. They will then make their next round, then beginning to issue tickets for those that don't obey with our order. So it's the New Milford Police that are patrolling the areas. I can't thank the police enough. If you do see out-of-state licenses and they are kind of near their car, if you could just point to them the sign that's there and let them know that they will be ticketed if they do go into the parks. That would be greatly appreciated. And again, we are patrolling those areas. The next is from Pat. Thank you to Attorney DeBella. We're very lucky to have attorney of this caliber guiding us through this crisis. Absolutely. Attorney DeBella has been with the town for many, many years. As I sat on town council, he's also town attorney to other towns within the Northwest quarter. And we're thankful for Attorney DeBella to continue to be our town attorney and help us, especially through times like these. So thank you, Attorney DeBella. And again, for those that'd like to know more about the budget process concerning how we're doing things here in New Milford by executive order, please go to my Facebook page, my mayor page, and see the interview that I did with our town attorney that kind of goes into more specifics as to why we cannot, unfortunately, have a referendum vote here in New Milford, whether by person or by mail. Next is from Greg. Hey, Greg, thanks. So Greg said he's watching. So I appreciate, Greg, you watching us here in New Milford. Again, I can't thank, I'll take just a moment real quick. I cannot thank our community enough, whether it be our first responders, whether it be our medical staff, whether it be our community, those giving and paying it forward, our nonprofits that are helping those in need, our town essential employees, the essential employees that are working in our stores that are open and our restaurants. I cannot thank everybody enough for pulling together in this pandemic that we're having, because we got to get through this together. So I cannot thank everybody enough. And seeing all the wonderful signs that are out supporting our essential workers, supporting our medical staff, just supporting our community. And also little things like Chief Squires ringing the bell every night at 8 p.m. down at Waterwitch Firehouse, to the First Congregational Church doing the bells in tandem, to the parades that we have for our first responders and older and younger citizens by our first responders and by our public at large. Everybody coming together during these hard and trying times and just making New Milford proud and New Milford strong. Again, I can't thank everybody enough for that, because we're all in this together. Next is Nairi. Does a bandana or a scarf count as a mask? Any way you can do to cover your face, that's very, very important. Also, we're going to be posting out on our social sites here how to make a mask. And then again, as I said before, we have our community, wonderful community volunteers that are making masks. And as a matter of fact, we had pretty good donation from a couple people here for our town employees as well. So I cannot thank everybody enough to make sure. And as I said before, Monday is Governor Lamont is requesting that we all wear masks when we are outside. And then from Bernadette, do people outdoors on their own property have to wear masks also? Is gardening, etc.? I would suggest, Bernadette, to play it safe if you could. And if you have a bandana or a mask, to wear a mask. We'll be getting more information on the governor's orders later today and on Sunday, which I'll be sharing with the public. But I would just recommend it's better to be safe than sorry. It's basically when you're out in public, that is your own private property. But I would recommend that if you can, at least cover your mouth area and your nose area. Let's see. Don't understand. This is from Barzy, Ms. Comstock. I don't understand how the governor can make an unconstitutional order not allowing to vote. Isn't this taxation without representation? So I agree with you 100%. I'm a firm believer in the fact that we here in New Milford have the ability through our charter to do a municipal election. A municipal vote on the budget. Other cities have a different form of government where their legislative body puts a budget out, and that's what it is. But here in New Milford, we have the ability to vote. During emergency orders, though, the governor does have the ability to stop those. And having talked to our town attorney has talked to many other town attorneys, and unfortunately, in this pandemic, his order supersedes what we can do here in New Milford. I have written a letter to the governor to ask if there is any ability to amend his order or to allow a waiver for New Milford. I'm hoping to have a response next week. But as of right now, there is no vote here in New Milford. Let's see. From Tammy, if we don't have Facebook, where can we get the information? So where we can get the information is, if you don't have Facebook, is I'm doing reverse 911 calls. So to do that, you can go to Connecticut Alerts, that's CT Alerts, and you can sign up, and that puts you on that. Also, we're doing press releases as well. And you can also call or email me at pbass, which is the letter P for Pete, and then bass like the fish, at newmilford.org. Or you can call me on my cell phone, 203-788-2619. Again, it's getting out the information in any way possible with updates and also with any questions that you may have as well. And we're going to continue to do these, as I said before, weekly. If needed, we'll do more of these live stream opportunities as well, if needed. Let's see. It's for Tony. Thanks, Tony. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you watching here today. And as I said, the more information we can get out to our residents, the better it is entirely for our community. And again, we're trying to make sure that we bend the curve. These next couple of weeks are going to be where, according to the medical experts, this is where we're really going to have an increase in infections. So the more that we can bend the curve, especially during these heightened times, the better it's going to be for us as we begin in later times. It could be anywhere from the next few days to the next few weeks when we see these numbers go down, where we can try to get back to some more normalcy. Also from Paul Murphy, I want to thank the town IT director, absolutely, and the commissions and committees for the viable, making it viable for our teleconferencing. So absolutely. So what we were talking about a little bit prior to was some of our boards and commissions, as we're beginning to come back online, we have gone to the GoToMeeting platform, where we're able to remotely do meetings as per Governor Lamont's order. So I had tasked our IT department, our IT director, David Watson, to bring that platform to the town, and also to talk to our commission members, department heads, on how to come up and work this process. I had my first one last week, and I know our Board of Finance Chairman, Walter O'Connor, now has had two. I know our zoning department has gone through at least one meeting, and more of our commissions and boards are going through these as well. So I can't thank everybody enough. Can't thank David Watson and our IT department as we continue to do new and innovative things to continue to move our town government forward. So thank you. Also, I want to thank the Park and Rec team real quick for the Easter egg hunt that they had. It was a great activity that people stayed in their car. People made wonderful looking Easter eggs for their yard so that people could go and look at them. We also had an app where you could go and see the the Easter eggs off of your app. You could click on and see the addresses. So it was a wonderful endeavor. Thank you to Laura Murphy and the Park and Rec team for that wonderful enterprise. Thank you. From Letty, how can the tax assessment be valid now? It was a week before shutdown. Taxpayers will be on unemployment, so who can pay taxes? So great question. There's a couple of things. There was a couple in that statement. There's a couple of different things. The first being the tax assessor. If you feel that your taxes are not valid or not done, you can call the tax assessor's office. Feel the value is a little different. We are going through a reval. As far as property taxes themselves, at the last town council meeting, the town council voted to defer property taxes, which include motor vehicle taxes, until October 1st. So you have until October 1st to pay your property taxes, which include your motor vehicle taxes, without penalty until October 1st. I'll be talking more about this through our social sites later on today and also on Monday and Tuesday. The thing that I do ask is if you have the ability to pay your town taxes in July, please do so. In August, please do so, because that helps us fund our government as we continue to move forward. But for those that can't afford it, you have the ability to defer those taxes until October 1st. Now, when you go to October 2nd and you haven't paid it, then the additional annual penalty, which is 18%, is then accrued back to July 1 on your taxes. So that's very important to know. So I'm glad to answer that question for you, Andrea. Next is from Linda. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate it. We're all working together, as I said before, to keep our town government running. And again, I'd really like to thank our essential employees who've been the front lines, whether it be our police, our fire, our ambulance, our DPW staff, our park and rec staff, our essential workers that come in every day into our town buildings and continue to move the government forward. I can't thank you enough. And our residents, essential workers in their stores, restaurants, it's all a collaborative effort for you, our residents here in New Milford. So thank you. And they're just saying now assessing home values is not valid. So that's something you can take up with the tax assessor. Currently, the tax assessor is doing their revaluation now. And with the new technologies that they have, they feel quite confident that they'll be able to assess the properties. Also, from Pat, have we hit the peak of the virus in New Milford yet? Speaking with our health director, Mike Crespin, we have not. As we continue to see multiple numbers increasing every day. Right now, according to the medical experts, between now and the next couple of weeks, this is the time that we are supposedly peaking in New Milford. But that is with the thought process that our residents and those visiting our town are doing the proper social distancing, doing the proper things. If we continue to do those, then the medical experts tell us that these next 2 weeks should be the peak. If we don't follow those things, then we'll continue to peak even after the next couple of weeks. So it's very important that we do this so that we can begin to be on the downside, which then will allow us, as we come down, to open a few more things up. So it's very important. I know a lot of people are getting claustrophobic. A lot of people are really antsy, wanting to get out, but it's very important that we follow these protocols, especially these next couple of weeks, to make sure we get through this heightened numbers for infections. Let's see. Next, I do solo kayaking. Can I park at Addis Park, and will I get a ticket? So currently, Susie, the town parks, if you're a New Milford resident, then you will not get a ticket if you're a resident. When the police do their patrols, they will ask if they run your plate and see that you're not a New Milford resident. They will ask you for a form of ID. If you're not a New Milford resident, then you will not be allowed to go to Addis Park. If you are a New Milford resident, you're allowed to visit the town park at your leisure. I just ask again, if you visit any of our town parks, you see the parks are full. please do not go in and make the parks, the parking more excessive or over maximize the parks, as we need to keep our social distancing. That's very important, especially at this time. Again, I can't thank you, the public, enough for your continued efforts here as we go through the pandemic. We're a wonderful community here, all working together, especially during these unprecedented times, to get through this together. Real quick on the education side, schools are continued to be closed until May 20th, where the governor will then reassess whether schools will continue to be long distance learning, or if they will go back to school. I can't thank our teachers enough for their doing this educational long distance learning, and their staff, our administrators, everyone involved in the education process here in New Milford. It was a short-term ramp up to do this. So I appreciate everyone's efforts in getting our kids into social long-term, long distance learning. So I can't thank our teachers and staff enough for doing that here in New Milford. Next from Steve, our knowledge is that there are only 3 child care facilities open to serve the community. That is correct right now, Steve. I do believe a couple of daycare centers do have the ability, if you need, to provide daycare for our residents. So you may want to check with those to see the availability. I know here in our health department is working closely with our daycare centers, both open and closed, to make sure that all the protocols are being followed and see that the needs are addressed. Let's see. Also, the Education Center at the United Methodist Church can accept children and are working with children online lessons too. So that's great to hear. I appreciate the Education Center doing that for our residents and being open. So that's great. That's one of the daycare facilities open. So Steve, thank you for telling us about this. Also, kind of getting back to the nonprofits, whether it's the United Way, Carmela's Cupboard, our culinary school, whether it's our heroes, hometown heroes, providing different PPE stuff to our first responders as well, to our faith organizations, the Faith Church allowing the United Way food truck to come in, or Connecticut Food Bank. Also, they're doing the giveaways, getting a local restaurants to provide food and then giving that away. All of this is just benefiting our community, and I can't thank those people enough. Also, the ones that pay it forward that you never hear about, whether it be at the drive-through at the coffee window to pay the next person behind them, or someone that picks up groceries for a senior and drops it off, or for someone that's COVID-19 and is quarantined in their home as well. And also quickly, for those residents that leave the state that do come back, I ask that when you do come back to self-quarantine for 14 days. It's very important, again, as we're going through these heightened infection days, that we do everything possible we can to bend the curve. Let's see. Absolutely, from Barb, our town workers are all essential workers. Absolutely. As I said before, whether it be our New Milford Police Department, whether it be our DPW, whether it be our organizations like our fire department, our ambulance, hospital workers, town employees that come in every day to move the town's business forward. Absolutely. Also essential workers in the private sector, those that work in our stores, those that work in our restaurants. I can't thank everybody enough for doing that hard work. Our contractors that are doing road work. All these people are essential employees to make sure that we as residents are safe and the town government moves forward. So I cannot thank everybody enough for that. Also, the volunteers on boards and commissions, like the ones today, the Board of Finance on a Saturday morning doing a public hearing. So I can't thank them enough. So from John, when will the boat ramp open at the town park? So I'm assuming, John, that you're talking about Len Deming. I spoke about this a little earlier, but for those that are just joining us, Len Deming Park was closed due to the fact on our patrols, we had a lot of youth that were congregating there, not practicing social distancing. They were on the playgrounds, skateboarding, a lot of other activities. We closed that down for social distancing. As we continue to see numbers ramping up in New Milford, we are keeping that park closed. If the numbers do go down, Len Deming Park historically has been opened on Memorial Day. That's the start date. So we're going to continue to assess this on a daily basis. So currently that park is closed. Let's see if we have any more questions here. Concerning economic development. Again, those that have a small business and looking to get more information on programs that are available. Some of these programs for your employees or for your business, some of the monies have been run out, but we are telling our business community, please to continue to apply as Congress, the president has asked Congress for more funding, and it's better to have your application in than to get kind of more into the back of the line as this funding does come in. If you have any questions concerning those, right now I've tasked our economic development team, and we've redeployed some of our other personnel, which I can't thank enough, to try and reach out to every business in New Milford. I'm hoping to have that accomplished by the end of this coming week. And if you have any questions now, you can call our Economic Development Director, Karen Pollard. Again, I'll give you her number. It's 860-488-0492. And it's K Pollard, P-O-L-L-A-R-D at newmilford.org. You can also reach me at pbass@newmilford.org, or also reach me on my cell phone, 203-788-2619. Let's see. As I'm looking at some more we have here. Let's see, from Jennifer. Yes, Jennifer, it's a wonderful thing that we have such a tight-knit community here, everybody working together to make sure that our residents are safe, secure, in the best possible way we can during this pandemic. Again, if you can just continue to practice these social distancing policies, gatherings to less than 5 people or less. If you can practice to stay safe, same home protocols. And starting on Monday, wear a mask. Do your part. We can bend the curve, and we can get back sooner to more normalcy. Again, I can't thank everybody again today for tuning in. I appreciate it. And again, we as a community, if we continue to pull together, do the wonderful things that we're doing now, we're going to beat this thing, and we're going to do it sooner rather than later. So again, I'd like to thank you all. God bless you. God bless your families, and talk to you soon. Thank you.